Yeah,
well,
that's
listen,
for sure.
Laverne Clark is ready to go. So what I'm going to do is make sure that I got the right number in my switchboard here, and I think I do. Oh, let's just hope and pray that this is it. Because if not, we'll be calling somebody that we don't know. Oh, but anyway, ring, ring, ring goes the Charlie. Ding, ding, ding goes the bell.
Goes the bell.
Hello?
Hey, Laverne, what the hell's happening, brother?
Oh, nothing much. What's up, man?
Oh, man, this is Big Perm. We're just hanging out here with my co-host, Dave the Butcher Clifford. We're just kicking the shit, man, talking to some interesting folks and rapping about the MMA world. Dave, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'd like to welcome Mr. Fist of Fury to the show. This is Dave the Butcher. Thank you for coming out with us tonight, sir.
How you doing? How you doing there?
I'm doing pretty damn good. And, boy, where do I start, man? You are an OG when it comes to this. I believe, now, I don't know how accurate all the different logs are, but on all the websites that I looked at to look at your lengthy track record of fights, your first fight was a victory over Mr. International?
Yeah, Sonny Carter.
Yeah, Sonny Carter. You beat Sonny Carter's ass in 1997 in Iowa, man. That is awesome. I know I've kicked it with him a couple of times out there. He used to showed up at a few events that I was working, and that's pretty cool, man. Why don't you tell us what it's like to be an OG like that?
Well, you know, it was sad that I had to beat Sonny Carter, but he ended up being a good friend of mine afterwards, you know, and you know, we fight, you know, we become good friends and we learn a lot and pass it on, you know.
Absolutely.
Well, and Laverne, as I look at your record here, man, I mean, starting with Shoney, you know, going on down the line, you know, as the years passed, you know, top-notch competition. You know, everybody from Dave Monet, Fabiano Iha, Matt Hughes, and that's a fight I want to talk to you about in a second.
Whoa!
John Lewis, Chat Lavender, Frank Trigg, Chris Lytle, Mac Danzig, Daiju Takase, I mean, George Sani, Melvin Go. I could go on. You've fought the best, some of the best in the world, man. But the fight with Matt Hughes, that was back at Extreme Challenge 29 back. It was up in Wisconsin back in '99. You lost that fight, and I know there was something about that fight that has kind of stuck in your craw over the years. Why don't you tell us about that?
Oh, there's a little controversy about it, but I take nothing from the fight, you know. I mean, he won the fight, hands down to him, you know. Can't take nothing from it, you know. I fought 3 fights that night, you know. I fought 3 times to get to the finals, and I actually lost before I got to the finals against Dave Monet. I got put in the guillotine. But I hurt Dave Monet, so he couldn't go on to the finals, so I ended up taking his position. And that's how I fought Matt in the finals. I really wasn't originally supposed to be in the finals. But he only fought one person, you know, and the guy he didn't give him that much of a fight, so he was pretty fresh for the night, you know.
Yeah.
So here you are for fight number 3, coming in and fighting the guy who's been in there maybe 2 minutes all night long.
Exactly.
Well,
you know,
this guy went on to beat. Yeah, go ahead.
The fights I fought was the 2 fights of life. You know, hardest fights I ever fought. You know, I can remember in MMA. You know, Dave Monet and I forget the other guy, but it was a pretty hard fight.
Well, Dave Monet, I mean.
Fernandez.
Oh, okay.
Huh?
It was C.J. Fernandez.
Oh, C.J. Fernandez and Dave Monet. Yeah, I know. I had a rough night. I know that.
It sounds like it.
Those guys are both tough as nails.
Yeah. Dave Monet, he's one of the toughest fighters I ever fought, and Matt Hughes is one of the strongest fighters I ever fought.
Well, now, Laverne, where are you living at today? Where you at today? You still training and act? You know, I know there was a guy that sent me a message earlier today that I forwarded to you. Had a fight for you. So, I mean, obviously you're still training. Where you at nowadays?
Well, I'm training everywhere. You can see me on Facebook. You see I'm associated with gyms in Missouri, Indianapolis, Chicago, all over the United States. You know, I'm pretty much welcome to be training anywhere. So you never know where you're gonna see me at. I like to get different, you know, aspects of you know, from different gyms. So I mean, I've been in the game so long now. I feel like I can just go anywhere and train. You know.
Well, you can. There's no way you couldn't. I mean, you're one of the first people to. I mean, in '97 is really early, and that was like really the dawn of the new age of the different rules. You know, you were one of the last people to have to fight in one of those 3-man tournaments. Really, you know, because once the UFC kind of took over, and now that Bellator, they run their tournaments over a whole season. So I mean, really, what do you think? Do you think that people back then were more hardcore? I mean, I know you mentioned Dave Monet as far as being your toughest fight, and he's a previous guest to the show, and he sounds like it, man. And the fights I've watched of his, I mean, of course, he was the first UFC middleweight champ. So I mean, you're right in the mix with the greats of all time, right there. How's that feel? I mean, what do you take away from that?
Well, you know, it was an experience. You know, I mean, I learned a lot from it, and I mean, you know, what I take away from is everything I learned from it. And I mean, I have a lot of knowledge of the game now. I mean, and I can pass it on to up and coming young fighters, you know. So that's what I'm doing right now. I just kind of, you know, learning still, and I'm still competing, but I kind of pass on what I know to certain individuals, you know, to help their game and help them move on, you know, in their career.
Well, that brings me right to the question that Jeremy usually asks everybody is, we got a lot of amateur and up-and-coming guys that are just about ready to turn pro, and right in the area there in Illinois and Iowa. What kind of advice would you have to somebody that might be listening that's an amateur getting ready to turn pro? What would you tell them?
Well, since I've been in the game and it's for real, and I know how to be a champion, you know. I know what it takes to be a champion. That's one thing I can answer. And it's rule one, you know, you got to be focused, you know. Be focused on it, you know. Run every day, you know. Eat the right foods. Don't drink. No alcohol. No drugs, you know. And you might want to wait to get married. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying there. I'm just an announcer, and I know that rule.
But you might want to just give your all, you know, be the best you can be, you know. Give it all what you got in it, you know, and don't take it for granted 1 second, you know. I mean, that's the best advice I can tell any up-and-coming fighter, you know. That's the ticket. And whoever put in the hardest work, that's who's going to win the fight.
Well, and you really do notice that the amount of time that someone spends, the less time that you see them messing around, the more focused they are and the better they do and the quicker that they move up through the ranks. And if you look at, we were just talking about this with our previous guest. We had Jim Arvanitis on here, the pancreation guy. And we were talking about that, how, you know, now if you look at all the champions of, you know, like UFC, Bellator, different leagues like that, it's always the honorable and dedicated fighter, you know, the guy that that's what he does. Every day, all day, that's what he does. And those are the guys that win titles, you know, and you hit the nail.
The winners. Them are the winners. It's easy. You ask what it takes to be a champion, that's what it takes, you know, on the grind like all the time, you know, every day,
yep.
You know.
I'll tell you what, and that, like, hearkening right back to Shoney, you know, like, it's kind of cool that was your first fight, man, because, like, he came down to the Coliseum, and I'm sure you know what the Coliseum is down in Detroit there, and that was his favorite spot. We had some fights up in there.
I didn't even know who I was fighting. When I first fought Shoney, I didn't know who I was fighting, but I was ready. I'm telling you, I was fired up. You know,
yeah,
I was
awesome.
ready for anybody at that time. I mean, it was a surprise that I was fighting Shoney, but I didn't realize who I fought until after the fight. But, you know, it probably would have happened to anybody at that time, man, because I was ready. You know, I've done everything right, you know. So.
Mhm. And now, as far as your style goes, I'm sure it's evolved over the, 15 years, are we saying here, that you've been fighting now? Easily. You're primarily, I know that you've done some pro boxing, too, so are you primarily a striker? What got you into this? How did you find your way into MMA and back then in 97?
Well, man, I wrestled all my grade school years, junior high, and high school years. And, you know, I won a lot in wrestling, you know, and but I used to wrestle these guys, and sometimes I have a tough match with the guy. The guy roughed me up some. I wanted to punch the guy. I ain't punch the guy while you wrestling. So, so after wrestling was over after high school, so I joined boxing, you know. And so, you know, the guy hits you in the face real good. You want to slam this guy on his head, but you can't because it's boxing. So MMA came up. Oh, that was right on time for me. You know, it was built for me, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
My arena, you know.
Well, in your division is the toughest of all of them. I mean, you look at it, really, over the years, the best fighters really come out of that 185-pound division, man. I mean, and you fought most of them.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been blessed. I ain't been hurt. Now, you know, if you get you in it, I mean, I'll be the champ. If you get you one in the game, but you know, that's another thing.
That's why it's here, though. You know, it sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, I love it though. I love this sport, man, because you know, it never stops evolving. You know, it's a great thing. You know, it ain't gonna get bored no time soon.
No, and one of the things that I really admire about you, just getting to talk to you now, you know, after the only thing I've done is research you and check it out, you know, so getting to talk to you now, I really dig how you got a really good personality, and, you know, you've dealt with, you know, a lot of the big fights, you came real close and then you lose a fight. Now, I don't mind talking about that because that's the biggest part of the game, to me, is how a person handles losing a fight, because if you lose a fight to a guy who's just as good as you or ends up being, let's say a UFC Hall of Famer that beats Royce Gracie, there's really no loss in a fight like that. No, how do you approach a fight like that? Because a lot of these fights have got to be where you're just like, man, I got nothing to lose. This is Dave Monet, man, or this is Jake Ellenberger. You know, I got nothing to lose. What do you do when you get in there? How do you approach a fight like that?
Well, I go in, you know, I'm going to give it all. You know, I know that. I'm going to the end. I already know that I'm going as far as I can go. But fortunately, you know when you go in a fight, before you go in the fight, the possibilities. What you do before you go in that ring, it determines if you're going to win or not, you know. You know, everything you do before. So when I'm in a fight like that, I done did my research and everything. I know the possibility of, where I can lose at, pretty much the time I can lose in the fight. If it's a possibility, if I, you know, don't detonate what I'm going to do, you know. So, I mean, you know, you just take it as it comes.
Well, guys, I just want to jump in
no matter
here
who it is.
Shift gears real quick. I wanted to jump in and shift gears real quick. This weekend is UFC 152. We got John Jones taking on Vitor Belfort. And, Laverne, I just wanted to get your opinion on, you know, John Jones and the whole controversy with UFC 151 being canceled, and, you know, what your thoughts are on the UFC and all that mess that's going on over there right now.
Well, I don't know, man. I would like to be back in the UFC. I don't know why they didn't call me back up in there. I got a good record, 4-1. You know, I mean, and the guy who beat me, I beat him first, and they didn't even have us have a rematch. I mean, you know, I want to fight back. That's when I fight the best. When you know, in prime time. You know, when it's time for the fight. When, you know, at the top show. That's when I fight the best. You know, so.
And I agree. I want to see this. I want to see it. If Vitor Belfort can come back, why the hell can't you, man? I want to see Fisted Fury.
Exactly.
If you're listening right now, any of you people listening right now, put this man on some fights. All right?
It's a good fight to have. It's Matt Hughes, me and Matt Hughes, because, I respect Matt Hughes and everything. He know that. He's a good friend of mine. But he know I don't feel that, that went down the correct way, and then, he's went on and did good things with his career. I mean, it's not over with yet,
But
so
you got something for him, don't you?
Yeah, let's make that happen, Anybody
Yeah,
out there
I'd like
want
to see
that to happen, make that happen. Even if that don't happen, get me back in the UFC, and you're gonna you see a good show anyway. However that
I agree. I agree. In that division right now, I mean, it is the most competitive, but they need some of that, man. I don't see why not. There's no reason. There's no reason you can't be on all those.
I have evolved. I have to say now, even from my last loss, I've been in the gym. I've been on the grind. I've been evolving, really taking the time out with jiu-jitsu. So. I mean, it might be exciting to see me fight again,
Well, what do you?
I have to.
Do you have to get a couple of wins, and then have you talked to these guys? Because I know my homeboy James Lee. I don't know if you know James from Detroit.
I heard him.
Yeah, him and Shoney are boys. James knows everybody. He fights. He fought in Pride, and he's trying to get back in the UFC. And they told him to get a couple wins. And he's going to go fight at 205. So. I imagine all you got to do is go out there and get a couple wins, go fight for, and like Perm said, you're going to get yourself a pro fight off somebody he puts you in contact with. Get yourself rigged up with but get yourself hooked up, go in there and kick a couple people's asses, and then holler at them because they need you.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'm not letting it go until I get back in there, because I deserve to be back in there. I gave my life I gave this sport my life, so I mean I should be able to finish strong, that's
when
what
you're
I'm
fortunate,
trying to do.
I mean, one of the things that you're a part of is there's a large group of guys right now that are at your level. They started early and they've been evolving. They may not have won all the time, but they're right around the same age, and there's a market for it, man. There's no reason that there shouldn't be some fights going on. And I'd like to see you versus Matt Hughes somewhere. And I know some people that could put some shit like that together, dude. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to holler. I can't promise you nothing, and I'm not trying to say anything, but, I'd like to see that as a fan. And that's
really, Matt Hughes, he the one that needs to make sure that happen, too, because we talked about it, and he's supposed to make sure that happens. So we on the air, ain't no ducking and diving, He's supposed to, do what you say and say what you do. So
yeah, that'll be
hopefully
sweet.
That can happen.
Now, are you still based out of Militich? You still in Illinois, bro?
Well, I'm considered as always a part of Militich. I'm always considered as associated with Militich. But I've been training up at Team Destruction out of Farmington, Missouri, up there. Got some good kids up there.
Is that Destruction MMA? Is that Joe Worden?
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Joe on the show a few weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, he got some really nice kids. Actually, you're gonna have some champions come out here. You'll be surprised when you see,
Well, I think the mid.
Well, guys, that's our 2-minute warning. We got about 2 minutes left with Laverne tonight. One question, Laverne, we always ask, or at least try to always ask, if there was tag team MMA in the UFC today, what 4 fighters would you throw in there? What 2 teams would you have go against each other?
What 2 teams? What you mean? 2 on 2?
Yeah,
yep.
Like if there was tag team MMA, like tag team wrestling, but in MMA. Who would you put in there?
Me and John Jones will whoop them all.
Yeah.
Me and John Jones out there, boy. You get me out there with John Jones, and I get to training right. I'll whoop them all.
Yeah.
I mean, and somebody asked me what's my thought about what's going to happen, man. I think John Jones is going to whoop everybody the next 4 or 5 years, you know what I'm saying, until he get a little tired bored with it or something. If he slip up and take it for granted, somebody going this sport is evolving so fast and so much. I mean, somebody gonna jump right in on it, but I don't see that happening no time soon. So don't expect to see it happen either.
No, I don't think so. I think you're right. About 4 or 5 years, and ain't nobody gonna touch him. I'd like to see him fight Silva before Silva gets too old.
And what weight is John Jones exactly?
205. I don't think he can get much lower, really. Because look how skinny he's cut.
It doesn't matter really what weight. That's a mini Superman. That's a mini Superman.
Yeah.
He's stronger than he's stronger than the average Joe. Believe that.
He got some heart too. I like that cat.
Well, Laverne,
hey, I actually know a dude that probably could give him some go, but he don't even fight. His name is Dana Burns. He played basketball, but this dude remind me of John Jones. He probably can get him too. I know his style. And I've seen John Jones a lot, and I know Dana Burns.
Mm-hmm.
But he don't fight. So.
Hey, Laverne, we got about 30 seconds left, bud. How can people get in touch with you, man?
Hey man, my Facebook me, my number too, 292-1302. Hey, and I'm out here, man. I'm at Midwest MMA here in the Quad Cities right now, and I'm all over, man.
Awesome.
Sweet. I announced.
If you know about some fights, some fights, make it happen. Make that call. Text me.
I'll hook it up.
Yeah.
Right on.
So I'm out here.
Thanks for joining the show tonight, man.
All right.
Take care, brother. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you. Thank you, Holmes.
Yes, sir.
Later.
All right, one more time for those that want to get in touch with Laverne Clark. He put his phone number on blast, so I'll help him out. It's 309-292-1302. Or you can find Laverne Clark. It's LaverneClark. Laverne Clark. You can find him on Facebook.
I'll tell you what, give that man a fight. Any promoters out there, matchmakers looking for a tough-ass 185er that'll come in there. Give him a good fight.
I want to see him fight Matt Hughes, dude. That's the one I want to see.
Get Maltsburger on that.
Come on, Chris. We know you're listening. Make it happen, dude.
Of course, our producer, heads up Blueblood MMA. We can definitely look for big things coming from them early in 2013. I want to give a big shout-out to him for helping us out and just giving a shit, man. He takes care of us, bro.
Without a doubt, Chris